the Nerd Podcast. We're finally back on our Week in Geeks. We got news on stuff like MCU X-Men, Dune 3, some details on the Batman 2, a couple trailers, Thunderbolts, and Last of Us Season 2, and a bunch more stuff. Before we get into that, go ahead and follow our socials at Why So Sidious Pod, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok. Look out for a comic book giveaway for new YouTube subscribers. The details will be posted on TikTok this week. If you're new here, we cover Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, stuff like that. Recently, we had members of the Hall of Nerds podcast, really great podcast on nerd stuff. Check them out. They were on to discuss the DCU, theorizing what James Gunn is cooking up over there. We've been covering Rings of Power, The Penguin, and a lot more stuff. And with that out of the way, let's get into our news this week, and let's start with Marvel. So, a Thunderbolts trailer. Pretty solid trailer, in my opinion. I liked it a lot. David, what did you think of the trailer?
You're muted.
My bad. Great start, David. Way to go. Thunderbolts or Last of Us? My bad.
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, so I just watched it. I wasn't sure what to expect from this movie. I know we got some of the plot synopsises regarding adamantium, celestial Tiamat, and then it kind of got mixed up with, is that going to be this? Is that going to be Captain America, Brave New World? So I just kind of didn't know what to expect, but this trailer was a solid start. I hate Bucky's haircut, but outside of that, I like the vibe that came to this. I like that scene where they're all interacting for the first time in that room, and then Crazy Bob just walks out in his patient pajamas and is like, who the hell are you guys? Which is obviously going to lead into a crazy character, Sentry. So I think it teased a lot of cool stuff, and I like the vibe of it so far. So I thought it was a solid little opening trailer.
Nice. I actually have a couple questions for you guys. But before, Lub, what do you think of the trailer?
I really liked it. I liked it being centered around Yelena. I think she's one of my favorites of the new crop of heroes that we've gotten. Very intriguing backstory. You always want to know more about her. And I like her meeting up with David Harbour. You know, he's going to be hella funny in the movie. There's also looked like there's pretty good action. And I like the idea of them being brought together without like them knowing it first. They're not like, we're making a team. We need you to go recruit everyone. It's like they're all showing up in this building and they're wondering what's going on. I'm sure that's how they figure out to get together.
Right. Yeah, that's a better take on it, I think, than redoing another scene where we see a government agent bring all these prisoners or whatever that get rounded up and say, okay, you're a part of a suicide squad. Like, I like that they're at least bringing it from a different vantage point there. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really think about it much before, but just from that opening scene, we have potential for a lot of solid, grounded, gritty fight scenes here. I mean, we've got Taskmaster, we've got Yelena and Bucky and Captain, or U.S. Agent. I mean, there's a lot of solid hand-to-hand combat fighters here, and a lot of cool trick shot kind of type of fighters. So I think this has potential to have a lot of really awesome scenes and maybe fight up against the Winter Soldier and the Shang-Chi hand-to-hand combat scenes. Maybe we get one that gets close, but yeah.
Yeah, there was even a bunch of solid fight scenes in the trailer.
Yeah.
And then you had Bucky at the very end. That was cool because we had some shots of him like in a business suit, and we were wondering what the hell his role was going to be. But it looks like he's straight up Winter Soldier, not brainwashed, but action-wise Winter Soldier. But he does the same thing he does to Nick Fury when he shows up in the Winter Soldier with that bomb thing that attaches under your car.
Yeah,
which is cool. But I'm like, why are you repeating that same thing? That's just like his thing. Yeah,
apparently.
What do you think the asterisk on the title is about?
I don't know.
It's got to be something. You don't just randomly put an asterisk on a title. So I think there's got to be a meaning to it, whether it's
going to end up in a colon something else, or just completely change the name to throw us off. Because this is not like a Thunderbolts crew from the comics. Like, these characters are not Thunderbolt. There's been, the Ghost has been on, I don't know, maybe Taskmaster. They've always been such different teams.
Right.
One thing, ever since, how long was it ago? 4 or 5 years ago when they announced this at Comic-Con? It was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But the way they presented it was just like an Avengers movie. Like every other title is just was put on the screen, or shown as a part of the phases. But this one, just like every other Avengers movie, like the screen went blank, there was music, and then it pops up Thunderbolts. And it ends phase, God, whoever knows, like phase 5 or whatever it is. And it seems like this is their big event film to end the phase. So what if it turns into Dark Avengers? I could totally see that happening.
That's what I was gonna say. I've seen that theory out there, and this is a placeholder, and they're calling it because they don't want to drop it too early. But by the end of the movie, this may be the Dark Avengers and not the Thunderbolts, which, God, that opens up a door for so many cool things if they're really to try to tie it into the comic runs there with Norman Osborn, and Matt Gargan's Venom is in it. Benjamin Poindexter's Bullseye is in that. Wolverine's son. Like, there's a lot of stuff that could be really awesome. And obviously, none of those guys are a part of this Thunderbolt squad. But that's one theory, I guess, that makes sense. I can't imagine they'd be doing it just as a placeholder, though. Like, we literally couldn't come up with the name, so we'll put this in all of our trailers. Like, it's made the first official trailer, so it's got to be intentional for some reason.
I wonder if Captain America 4, if any events happen in that, or an end credit scene happens in that, where it'll kind of change the title. Like, I could see Valentina, like, in that scene where she was like, oh, you guys look so adorable. Like, I could see an end credit, something just like that, and she was like, you guys are going to be my Dark Avengers. And then the title changes. Something stupid like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't go super corny with it, but I don't know.
I don't know. I'm kind of rethinking because they are more like Thunderbolts than Dark Avengers. The Dark Avengers are pure villains. Like, these guys aren't pure villains.
Like, those were serial killer villains that they put into the Dark Avengers. It wasn't anti-heroes. So, I don't know. I don't know what some people are theorizing it has to do with Sentry. I don't really know what that could have to. I don't know why you would. I don't get that. I don't see the connection there. But I will say, from this trailer, I love how we got that scene of Bob Reynolds standing there in his patient gear just getting lit up with bullets, and he's obviously bulletproof, but like, they're showing hints of this. And again, it's such a cool character that they could make a really, really cool story out of, because it's so dark and mysterious and schizophrenic-like with the storytelling of this character. So I really hope they lean into this. And I think we got a flash of Sentry's little belt logo that we see in the comics. It looked like that. It's kind of like a swirly S. It doesn't look like Superman's. It's different. But I think that got me most excited, and seeing Prime Bucky. But I'm really curious to see what we do with Bob Reynolds here.
Yeah, because the power scaling is so different. All the other people, they are levels and levels below Sentry. This is like Superman and the Suicide Squad. So why would they have a character like that in there for a basic threat that is more like spy espionage? Like, you're not going to bring Superman into a spy espionage movie. Maybe they have some big surprise up their sleeve. Like, we have been, there's been a lot of lack of surprises lately. But you never know. Things could happen. All the Venom talk, and you brought up Venom being a part of the Thunderbolts, all this Venom talk, it shouldn't be a crime to hope for some crazy shit like that to happen. Venom pops up in the movie, or they have to fight Red Hulk, or something big.
I could see that. I could see Red Hulk popping up into it, but I don't know. I like it, though. I like the speculation it's causing. It's getting a lot of people to start theorizing, and it's breathing a little bit of life into the MCU. So, we'll see. Maybe it's just a marketing ploy.
Dude, I think the MCU's back. Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. I think Cap 4 is going to be good. They did all the reshoots under Kevin Feige. Thunderbolts looks like it's going to be good. And then Fantastic Four. Then Daredevil Born Again, dude. I think the MCU is on its way back, starting with Cap 4. Well, starting kind of with Deadpool and Wolverine, but we talked about how that did not feel very MCU.
Right. It felt like a cheat. Yeah, it was kind of a cheat code there. So now we need to see an actual movie step it up.
Yeah. All right, that wraps up this topic. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Next up, we got some legal troubles with Disney. So, David, what kind of details you got on this?
Yeah, so if you've ever watched Rogue One, and you saw Grand Moff Tarkin show up on screen, go, man, that fool was in the movies in 1977. He looks pretty good still. It was, digitally altered. They used his likeness, and they put it over a guy's face. And a lot of the talk around that time was That seems a little iffy. That seems like, was the family made aware of this? Did they know that they were using his likeness like this in a totally new role? Like, there was a lot of iffiness behind it. And sure enough, years later, which is kind of weird, they didn't do it. They didn't do it immediately. It didn't happen. When did Rogue One come out? Like 2019? What?
18, 19.
Yeah, I was thinking 18.
2016. Holy crap. So it's
my
been
God.
8 years. And now a man by the name of Kevin Francis, who is a longtime friend of Peter Cushing, is suing Disney and its subsidiary Lucasfilm for using Cushing's likeness in Rogue One, just like everybody was speculating about. They just didn't think it would happen 8 years after the fact. Without his authorization. So Francis claiming that Cushing gave him control over his image rights in 1993 before his death in 94, stipulating that no one could reproduce his appearance via special effects without his consent. Despite this, Disney recreated Cushing's likeness using actor Guy Henry as a body double, paying Cushing's estate £28,000 for the usage, which is pretty cheap. Francis himself is seeking up to £500,000, arguing that Disney and other involved parties acted without proper permission, which big surprise, Disney got greedy and overstepped their bounds at the likeness of somebody who's passed away. Disney is seeking to dismiss the case. Courts have allowed the lawsuit to proceed. So we'll see what happens, but I thought it was just interesting. I know it's not like the juiciest of news, but I just thought it was interesting because it's something we've talked about a lot. It's the aspect of AI coming into the movie world, how it's going to be used. We had the strikes last year, so it's one of the first major things that's kind of coming out of the AI or using someone's likeness kind of lawsuit deal here. And it's also interesting because unfortunately we had another Star Wars legend pass away recently, which is Mr. James Earl Jones, R.I.P., the voice of Darth Vader, obviously the voice of Mufasa. He's in countless legendary movies. But James Earl Jones, before his death, gave Lucasfilms the rights to use his voice and his likeness. Well, not his likeness.
Yes.
He's not. His face isn't there. But he gave them the rights to use his voice for future projects to use Darth Vader. So I thought it was an interesting tie-in how we had both of those things happen within like a month of each other. We got Peter Cushing's likeness suing Disney, and James Earl Jones told them before he died, hey, you can use it. Continue Darth Vader. Keep the legacy going. So, I mean, that's a pretty sick way to go out. James Earl Jones is already a legend. You tell all the fans, hey, keep using my Vader voice. Like, it's all you guys. So, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. What do you guys think? Did you think they were going to keep using Vader and James Earl Jones' voice? Or what did you guys expect was going to happen when he passed away?
I feel like they had to get that deal done with James Earl Jones because they're going to go back to the Vader well in some animated show or even some
Hopefully
action
live
show.
action shit.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
So you got to have the Vader voice when it comes to Peter Cushing. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't clear things up a little bit first before going out and putting him in a big ass movie, not just some TV show. Like,
Yeah, pretty blatant. Like,
What I heard, the information I saw on the Tarkin character is that they actually asked his family for the rights, and they said yes. But there was a separate deal that was kind of done behind the scenes, not like in a sketchy way, but it was done without the family's knowledge. And like Disney actually did their due diligence and asked the family, and that's pretty much all you should ask unless there is some deal. And like no one knew about this deal,
with his
and
friend.
obviously it was buried in paperwork somewhere because it took 8 years. Apparently it's also
Right.
actually been going on for like a year, but they're getting closer to something happening. But apparently Disney's not the bad guy here. They asked the family said yes. There was just some weird deal in the background.
Right.
well, yeah, I guess, they did. Again, they paid the estate, whatever it was, 8,000 or 23,000 pounds. So they had to have reached out to the estate if they paid them. There was some deal that was formed there. But it's just so weird. And there's red flags for sure. I'm not going to immediately assume the friend has some devious intentions, but red flags do seem to pop up when that was the case. And 7 or 8 years later, it's like, you have money problems? What's going on? I don't want to speculate too much, but it's very odd.
For sure. And as far as Vader, dude, that's probably the easiest thing for AI to replicate, that voice. And my God, that you need that voice. You really do.
You do, but I will say, I don't know if I think maybe they used portions for Ahsoka when we had Hayden Christensen return, and they used Hayden Christensen's voice and altered it to form the transitions between Anakin and Vader there. And I don't know if James Earl Jones's voice was used in those audio designs too, or if they're able to kind of recreate something similar. But I think they could probably pull it off without his voice. But I think it makes it a lot easier to just make it simple and feel authentic.
Yeah, there's something so particular about his voice. I think you can mimic it like another person can mimic it and it would sound pretty good. But there's something so authentic about James Earl Jones's voice.
Yeah.
All right, I have a random kind of a nerd therapy style question. What do you think could happen first? And we're talking would be a long time if ever. A Darth Vader trilogy or Justice League versus Avengers? What happens first?
That's like the whole thing where the meme where Anakin's like, I didn't get a TV show. It's like Anakin, the entire
the whole thing was your story. Yeah, I would say Justice League versus Avengers. I mean,
Really?
it's been when's the last time we got a Star Wars movie in the first place, let alone a whole trilogy to come out again? So I feel like obviously it's probably going to be 10 plus years till we would get something like a Justice League versus Avengers. DCU has to sit, it has to develop. The MCU will get desperate enough eventually maybe and ask for a crossover, but I just have zero faith in Star Wars movies at this point.
Yeah, but like I think a Darth Vader movie or trilogy would happen first because it's such a no-brainer, dude, and they're like dying right now. Just do a Darth Vader movie; it's gonna make $1 billion.
Right. Yeah. No, it'd be a smart move for sure.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't feel like that would be a great move for the future of Disney Star Wars though, because it would just be like, okay, yeah, you can do a Darth Vader movie, but can you actually create something new?
Yeah, because if they did
they
it with
can't.
this creative team or everyone in charge now, it would be scary. You'd be like, oh, don't mess up our boy. But 20 years down the line, different people in charge. Eventually, we're gonna get a Darth Vader movie, dude.
I
It's
could
just
see it
like,
in like 20 years.
yeah, me too.
If it was in the next 10, it would reek of desperation. It'd be like Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom times 10. Like, oh, everything's failing. We'll just, do a Darth Vader movie.
All right,
and
here's your
again,
Vader
I'm
movie.
saying that with some attitude to it, but I would be open to it for sure. If I saw the news drop that they're doing a Darth Vader movie, I wouldn't flinch to be like, oh, let's go. I'm in.
Right.
But yeah, it would be a tough look.
Yeah. Okay, that kind of slipped into our MCU category, I guess because it had Disney in the title, so sorry about that. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. That's a wrap on the topic. Next, we got 2 things regarding X-Men and the MCU. First of all, Kelsey Grammer confirms there are talks to bring Beast back to the MCU. Not a big surprise. He wasn't an end credit scene, so you figured you'd expect him. I'm not thrilled. I don't like to keep going back to the past. I'd much rather just do all new X-Men, new cast, new story, new everything. But until we get to Secret Wars, that's not really not really going to be the style of things. But
Right.
once we get past Secret Wars, that's going to be kind of the end of all these old characters from old universes coming back, variants, and that's fine. I'm sure Secret Wars will be awesome, but where do you think Kelsey Grammer could show up? Are you cool with that Beast coming back, Love? What do you think?
What post-credit scene was he in again?
The
Was it
Marvels.
The Marvels. That's right. We love that movie.
Super CGI'd.
I could see him. I mean, Captain America 4 already is so jam-packed, and he's in another universe, right? Is he in 616?
No, because
No.
Photon got popped into another universe. I think Cap 4 will be very grounded. We're not going to see any
Yeah.
variants in there, thank God. I
Right.
hope.
No, I think Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty is where you start to see that multiverse. Maybe Doctor Strange 3, if there is one.
Ooh, that's actually that's probably going to be my pick because he was totally a part of the Illuminati once they got to that point. Beast was a big part of the Illuminati there. I'm going to go Doctor Strange 3 also. That's when he's popping up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or I don't know when that's coming out, but whether it's Doomsday or
not
Secret
even
Wars,
confirmed.
Right. Yeah, I think
Or
it's a
Shang-Chi too.
crapshoot, but Shang-Chi too, you could pull it off. There's a few different things you could do it with. I think Kelsey Grammer did a fine job, but I think we're starting a brand new thing, like you said, JD. Let's just start fresh. Let's get new X-Men characters in there. Yes, he did good. Wolverine, Hugh Jackman did great as Wolverine. Halle Berry did fine as the Storm. Let's start fresh though. He's 70 years old. I know it doesn't really matter because it's going to be CGI, but he's still 70. He still has to go on set and do whatever he has to do. And let's start fresh. Let's get a young beast in there. Let's just start now.
Yeah. And staying on X-Men and MCU, apparently from reports, Wolverine will not be a part of the MCU X-Men at first. So the X-Men we know are coming post Secret Wars, especially. I think we're all guessing it's going to be a big phase regarding mutants in general. I don't know how I feel about that. Now, we're not talking about Hugh Jackman, Wolverine at all. The character Wolverine will not be a part of the X-Men for a while when the X-Men are introduced into the MCU. And if anything, that just makes me think that Hugh Jackman will be a big part of Secret Wars, and you don't even want to start thinking about another Wolverine, casting another Wolverine until that dude's nail in the coffin, when he's done with Wolverine. Because if we have a new Wolverine coming in, a new cast, Hugh Jackman's just going to overshadow him. And he's supposed to be in Secret Wars. Yeah. So I actually, overall, I think it's probably a good idea. Develop your X-Men first and then it'll be a huge bang once you have an X-Men team all developed and then you bring in a new Wolverine. It's the most popular X-Men character there is. And it's probably a good move.
Yeah, you explained that well with Wolverine being in Secret Wars. You gotta wait a little bit, or it just won't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm totally good with. Obviously, I don't want Wolverine to not show up, but we've spent the most time with him by far of any X-Men character, any mutant out there. Like, we have so many Wolverine projects, and yeah, we're gonna be seeing still Hugh Jackman in Secret Wars, so there's no need to rush it. I think give the time to the rest of the X-Men crew. They didn't do that last time when they started in the Fox universe. Those were some of the complaints. Like, they were doing the X-Men, but really it was just focusing on Wolverine. X2 was literally all Wolverine's backstory and his history. Like, it was all focusing on Wolverine. It wasn't focusing on the X-Men as a whole. So I think that's the right move.
For sure. All right, that wraps it up for that topic. Let us know what you think in the comments below. That also wraps it up for Marvel. So let's move on to DC. Crazy news coming out a couple days ago. Apparently there is a Bane and Deathstroke movie confirmed, which is really strange. These two do not have they don't have like any comic book history together. Their stories are not intertwined whatsoever. They're both awesome characters. So that's just cool in its own right. It just seems really weird, really random, but I gotta say it's very exciting. Dave, how are you feeling? And are there other details, or is it just we got the confirmation it's coming out?
We got confirmations coming out. We have a screenwriter, Matthew Orton, who's also the screenwriter for Captain America: Brave New World. So that's kind of interesting that there's going to be that type of a connection. Playing both sides. Yeah. So there's no stars or director attached yet. But it's interesting, it's following that trend. We keep getting these movies about these villains of main characters that we don't have main movies of those main characters. We have Venom and Kraven and Morbius, and now we got Deathstroke and Bane. And I'm not complaining, though. I'm totally down for it. And the Penguin, obviously, we got the Penguin series out there, Joker's movies. So a lot of villains of Batman's without Batman being involved. So it happens a lot. But if you're gonna do it again, boy, I'm good with these two characters being the ones we get to follow around, right? Even if Batman's not involved. Like, although Batman does kind of make Deathstroke to an extent with certain things, that rivalry is so damn cool. But Deathstroke's such an awesome character alone. He could have his own movie, and I'd be excited for it. So you throw Bane in, I don't know how the hell they're gonna connect, but I'm totally here for this. I think there's a lot of cool. Unfortunately, Dave Bautista is not going to be doing Bane because he lost about 100 pounds of muscle recently.
That's fine with me, to be honest.
Yeah, no. So I was just going to say that was the main fan cast when everybody talked about Bane. So now we got to come up with some new fan casts for Bane and Deathstroke here. Boy, I'm excited.
What are the chances you think they'll keep the DCEU Bane? Because he never really had his chance on the big screen. Some people are crossing over from the DCU as far as casting, and he looked the part. He didn't really have any. He had like 2 post-credit scenes worth of
Oh,
stuff.
sorry, Deathstroke. I don't know why I
Yeah.
thought you said Bane. Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Bane, too.
Joe Manganiello. I think it's Catherine Zeta-Jones's husband. I think.
I think there's a small chance he sticks around.
I'd be down. He looked the
looked-
part. He looked cool. Yeah, the post credits he looked sick.
Grizzled.
Some people are saying Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who was Jamie Lannister, which I could kind of see it.
I can see it.
I think there's a lot of good options. I'm sorry. I'm just scrolling through a Reddit
Jared
list
Leto.
of the fan casting. The guy who played Stanley Hudson in The Office is one of the
Good
top comments.
Hopefully for Bane.
It's for Deathstroke.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
All right, I'm
You've
sorry,
been
that's
meatballed.
But I
Damn.
think this movie it'll take place after Brave and the Bold, obviously, right?
They should, yeah, because they're already deep in planning for that one. This is like
So I think you got to put like Nightwing or Robin in it at least, kind of
That
get
would
the
be
Bat
sick.
family
Nightwing.
involved, and then like connect Bane and Deathstroke to Batman 2, whatever your next Batman movie is going to be. Have them carry over into that.
I love that.
If you could get Nightwing into there, Nightwing and Deathstroke movie. You're speaking my language.
Deathstroke is much more of a Teen Titans villain than he is a Batman
Right.
villain.
Yeah.
So
there you
that
go.
would be awesome if they did any Robins, anything. Or maybe it is like going back in time so you can develop your Robins, a Robin potentially. We're just bullshitting here. But you could potentially build up one of your Robins in this movie as a flashback. But still, dude, I don't see them in a movie together. What the hell is this? I could totally see Deathstroke with his own movie. He has his own story, and that's fine. And even Bane, to be honest, like seeing him as a kid get thrown in prison and his life in prison, getting out of prison. Like in the comics, he was like stuck in prison for so long, but he would see the bat signal, and as he was getting molded into this crazy villain, he just had these motivations to go kill the bat. Like that whole movie could be cool. Kind of an underdog prison grow up story, breaking out of prison is your climax. But together,
Yeah.
I have no freaking clue what they could be doing.
Some buddy
Nope.
cop movie.
That's what I was thinking. Like somebody gets like blackmail on them, and they have to work together to whatever pull off this mission for Poison Ivy. I don't know. It seems random as hell. So yeah, I'm very eager to get more details on this.
And it just confirms that those 2 characters are in the DCU. Like, that's dope in its own right. Like, Bane's in the DCU. We can get more comic accurate. Tom Hardy was like the intellectual Bane. But then whoever was in that, Vlad Kilmer or George Clooney, that was just the bronze, or just a dumb, strong person.
That was slapstick Bane. That was
Yeah.
his muscles literally deflated and inflated in scenes. Like that was
Right.
That was,
But then Tom Hardy didn't have the Venom aspect. So you put those 2 together, you got comic accurate Bane. I'm really excited for that.
yeah.
All right, let us know what you think in the comments below. That wraps up the topic. Next, sticking with DC, we got a couple details involving the Batman 2. Matt Reeves was on the Entertainment Weekly. He said, first of all, the canceled shows like Arkham didn't actually get canceled per se. He said the concepts just evolved. So whatever was going to happen with Arkham is now going to bleed into other projects, I'm assuming. He said they're all changing into something new. So we're not missing out on that story. They just found a new way to tell those stories.
Well, wasn't the report that it like wasn't a part of Matt Reeves' universe, or it was like
That's
in
right.
between the 2 or something?
It was
So-
DCU, but Matt Reeves was still directing it.
Yeah, which didn't make sense to me. So I hope they just put it in the Battinson universe.
Yeah,
You,
keep
you already
him
set it up at the end of the movie.
outside the DCU because it's gonna like his flavor is gonna be in that. So that would be a little weird if you had the Batman 2 flavor, or his universe's flavor in the DCU. Yeah, I don't know, but that's cool. He said like new avenues are being born, like with different characters. He mentioned Scarecrow. Like it sounds like they're gonna do a lot of other villain projects outside of the Penguin, outside of Batman. He also said there's a little time jump from the end of the Penguin to the Batman 2. That's to be expected. I think it must be a year at most.
And
He
winter.
said, yeah, right. Well, I guess we just got to see what season that this ends in, and then we have our answer. He also said, the Penguin plays into Batman 2, but isn't necessary to understand Batman 2. And it sounds like Penguin will have at least as big of a role in the Batman 2 as he did in the Batman 1.
Cool.
A lot of different weird little details. Love, anything jump out at you, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I love the first episode of The Penguin. I know I missed that episode with you guys. But yeah, so anything with Matt Reeves, I am down for. Like, he's really killing it with this Batman vibe and the detective style. And I do want to see just this universe get expanded, like to have its own, MCU, DCU, and then you have this Batman universe off to the side where it's almost on that level.
For sure. Did we cover the whole winter thing? Oh, yeah, Dave and I did before the Penguin. Okay.
Okay.
Love, what do you think about
Yeah.
the winter thing? You think it's Mr. Freeze?
Right?
Right? If you got snow falling from the, you got ice falling from the sky.
He has to be there.
it'd be
It's a
Mr.
freaking
Freeze.
rule.
Yeah. There's ice in the air.
Yeah.
Dave, how do you feel about any of this stuff?
Yeah, it's a weird deal. I love Matt Reeves' universe here. The Arkham thing is super confusing. It's also, I mean, it's along the lines of Peacemaker continuing in the DCU, but season 1 isn't canon anymore. So we have these weird kind of continuations of stories that actually aren't a part of the story we're now watching, and this is becoming a pattern. But I don't know. Regardless, I'm excited for it. I rewatched the Batman recently to prepare for the Penguin here, and it was incredible. Funny enough, I think my biggest issues came with Robert Pattinson, even though I loved him as Batman. But I think my biggest issues from rewatching that movie is just some of the over-the-top gothness and some of the scenes he looked really skinny. Even though
You're
some
not my
scenes he looked
dad,
beefed
Alfred.
up. Yeah, there's a couple of
that's
that
too
where
much.
it was like, it's too much, brother. It's just too much. But overall, I raised the overall score of the movie. I think I put it at a 9.1 now. I think I had it at an 8.9. I mean, it's a tremendous movie. That first intro where they're scared of the shadows and the criminals are just looking around, they see the bat thing, and then they just take off because they think they see Batman. Like, it's just perfection. So anything coming up with a continuation of that movie, I'm good with it. So don't know what to expect, but I'm excited.
You know what my couple gripes were is that he was like at the end of year 2 and he was making dumb mistakes like flying into a damn bridge. They should have just said it was the end of year 1. It was his first year. That looked like a year 1 Batman. I don't know why you had to make that year 2 because he should be a lot more efficient. The other thing was like it is a great detective film, but his detective tactics or like his like execution of finding out what was going on, a little convenient. It seemed a little easy. Like when you look at Knives Out, the detective stuff is so good. Like it's written so well. And why?
Well, that's Ryan Johnson. I mean,
For sure. God, like, put Ryan Johnson on a Batman movie. That's love or hate.
That actually.
whoa.
Hey, I think that's more Star
Not a
Wars'
bad
fault than
idea.
Ryan. I've come to terms with it's not his fault. He's kind of a jackass for like just turning his back on J.J. Abrams, but at the same time,
Right.
Star Wars shouldn't be. They should have had a 3-movie plan, but they need that style of detective. He's the best detective on the planet, like in a superhero fantasy universe. Like you need the best detective writers for Batman, and I mean that would make that detective stuff shine. Everything came so easy.
I will say too, I remember that was one of the shining points of it was we got Detective Batman. And there were some scenes where like Batman walks to the crime scene and he sees something and walks up to it, checks it out, and then a cop behind him notices him looking at something and goes, goes over, takes a picture of the evidence. So like there were certain moments where they did a really good job of making the cops be like, holy crap, this dude is figuring stuff out left and right. But there were also stuff he didn't figure it out at the end. He didn't figure out the flooding bomb part of the plan until the Riddler told him. The El Rata Alata deal, they kind of had to get that their
From the
hand
Penguin.
held through figuring that out with the Penguin. Yeah, exactly. So there were a few things that I noticed on the rewatch of, okay, he's not a perfect detective yet, but they did still show a lot more scenes where it was like, okay, that was cool. But I agree, they have room to make improvements on him being the ultimate detective.
The detective style was on point, 100%.
Yeah.
It's just the writing needs to be like to the level of Knives Out, because the way that Homeboy deduces those crime scenes was so fun and so smart and like clever.
Fun's the right word. I was just about to say, should be fun watching them like Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr.
That too.
His movie in that. Like they did it in a fun way where he's putting these pieces of the puzzles together. So, yeah, he got room for improvement.
Yeah, still a great movie.
Yeah.
And that wraps it up for that topic. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think. And next up, just a quick one. We got confirmation that the Constantine 2 script is finished. Like, what a weird sequel to be coming out now. This is not DCU. It's still Keanu Reeves. I sure hope Keanu Reeves is not going to be in the DCU. I haven't seen Constantine. Did he have a British accent, Dave?
No.
I know he didn't have a
Come
British
on.
accent.
Keanu ain't doing no British accent.
Yeah, I couldn't picture it.
I don't
Couldn't
think he
it.
can. I love Keanu, but I don't think he can pull off a British accent. He can't pull off a
An
non-Keanu accent. It's just a different type of American accent. No, he sounded exactly like Neo or John Wick. Smoked
Yeah.
cigarettes constantly like John Wick. He basically just smoked a ton of cigarettes. I mean, he had the button-up shirt with the loose tie. I think he had the jacket on at one point.
Had the look.
But no, it wasn't. It was a totally different style. But I love it. I love the first movie.
Really?
It creeped me out as a kid watching it. Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I was 10 or 11. So I was like, oh, that was dark, creepy, but engaging. Shia LaBeouf is in it, and he actually plays a really good role too. The devil, the guy who plays the devil, he's a Russian mobster and tons of stuff, I'm pretty sure, in John Wick. But he plays the role really well. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the first Constantine. I don't know how well it holds up. I got to rewatch it start to finish again, but I'll watch Constantine.
I never even knew it was a DC hero or DC movie until like 5 years ago.
No, I didn't know watching it. I watched it with my parents, actually, and my dad actually enjoyed it because there's a lot of different biblical stuff, and he's basically performing exorcisms at the start of this whole thing, and it's the devil returning and all this. I had no idea it was a DC product until like 5 years or more after the fact when I saw it.
Do you think I would like it if I watched it like tonight? Which I'm not. The Penguin's on, baby. Which, dude, I thought it was on Thursdays. I was so excited to watch it on Thursday.
That might be my fault. Caleb, you remember when I texted you last week and I was like, I kind of wish Penguin was on Sundays. So once all the football games end, we've got that classic HBO Sunday show to watch at the end of the night. And then it turns out they moved it to Sunday. Yeah. I don't know what the deal with that was.
But you think, how do you think I would like Constantine?
I think it'd be gripping enough to at least pull. There's some cool stuff, and the CGI for it. I watched a few scenes recently again, and it holds up pretty well for how old it came out 20 years ago. I think it's worth a watch. Just don't expect it to be the DC Constantine that you know and love.
Yeah, how are you gonna not do a British accent for Constantine? It should be like a Billy Butcher accent. Even his demeanor, dude. I think he'd be a good Constantine, to be honest.
Ooh, he'd be good.
He kind of would be. Yeah, I think the person who took over this just was interested in the type of story behind it, but had no interest in making a comic accurate anything. There's no Easter eggs in it or anything like that. Like, you ain't seen Zatanna or any mention of anything like that. But
how was the magic aspect?
It was interesting, like some of the spells and stuff he has to use to kill certain things and whatnot, and like using holy water and stuff here and there. It wasn't crazy though. Like Constantine himself, he's not really using any magic. He's using tricks of the trade, but he's not like using magic himself. Really, he transports to hell at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's grounded. It's very. It's not fantastical magic. I'll say that. It's a street level grounded thing. He takes a trip to hell, he comes back, he grabs a little hospital band. No, but
that dude always goes to hell in the comics. It's just his thing.
He loves that place.
All right, that's it for Constantine 2. Now the Plastic Man. So I'm really curious to hear what's going on with Plastic Man. I don't know what's going on, but Dave, what do we got here?
So it's not going to be a big discussion here. Basically, something came off. What was it? A production list was leased. Good God, let me start over again. A production weekly listing was released, and a director was shown for an upcoming Plastic Man movie. That director was Darren Aronofsky. I wasn't aware this was in the works at all because I keep saying like, hey, they should use Plastic Man. That should be the thing that hasn't been announced yet. But apparently they're moving forward with that. But it's not 100% confirmed. But Darren Aronofsky is an interesting. He did The Whale. He did Black Swan, Requiem for a Dream, The
A24
Wrestler. So a lot of depressing, mind-bending kind of deals. Which Plastic Man, you kind of need to have a lighter feel to it because he is goofy as hell. He is super goofy. He's like Deadpool. He's cracking jokes left and right. Like he's got a personality. So I don't know what to expect. I just thought it was cool that we're seeing a Plastic Man thing, and I gotta stick with my boy. I've been preaching the Plastic Man thing for a while.
Boy, right?
So if it's happening, I gotta root it on. I think dude, he's an interesting character, bro. He's like one of the few guys Batman has admitted to, like, yeah, I don't know how to kill this guy. Like, I don't know how the hell. Like, he is so insanely, like, he can stretch around the world like multiple times. Like, there's an unlimited amount of ability to this man. So if you got a creative mind to direct this movie, it could be really fun.
Batman literally called him the most dangerous character to ever exist, just like something
bro.
like that.
Yeah, he gets props from a lot of the main characters in the DC universe. Like, yeah, I don't know how to stop this guy.
Which I've never ever read a significant anything on Plastic Man.
Same.
Except, but when Batman says that, like,
yeah.
oh, shit.
Well, in Injustice, he was hella funny. I loved his little roles in Injustice. He's being a chair that Harley Quinn's sitting in. He's a funny character. But yeah, I don't have a ton on that topic. I just saw it and thought I'd throw it out there though.
For sure. I'm really only asking for the people to leave comments. We'll edit that out, but for bigger topics. So that's why I didn't do it for Constantine, Plastic Man.
Straight up.
All right, let's move on to Dune 3. So, got a little bit of stuff from Dune 3. The script is almost finished. He said Denis Villeneuve said that Dune is not necessarily being developed as a completion of a trilogy, but it's just its own thing. Found that very interesting. Love, what do you got on Dune 3?
Yeah, just that Dune Messiah is its own story, and it does take place 12 years after, like the book does. But there's still flashbacks to the Holy War in that book, I guess. But he is also talking about having to age up the cast because they're 12 years older, which I don't really like. I want to see Chalamet and Zendaya and everyone else come back, Javier Bardem. Like, so I mean, just use a little AI to maybe put a couple wrinkles on their face, make them look, 40. But it's another world, another universe, He has powers, he's at least an on
Yeah.
he can de-age himself.
He can hear fetuses. I think he can stay the same age.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't love that. I really don't. The Holy War, is that something that's supposed to take place after Dune 2? Is that like what they're going to do to end up?
That's what's like about to happen.
That's
right
what was
now.
starting. Yeah.
At the end of the movie.
I don't like that. You kind of want to see the Holy War.
Right.
Don't just do the book. I love when you follow the source material closely, but like maybe just do your own thing and do the Holy War. I mean,
But it still describes the war in the third book. It's just in flashbacks through.
yeah,
Paul.
in
Paul's
Fellowship of the Ring, the flashbacks.
Patrick.
Like, I don't like the flashback wars. Justice League, flashback war, Amazonians. I kind of want to see the war as the movie.
I want that to be the movie, not a 2-minute. Yeah, bro, I gotta say, this is kind of disappointing news as well. So much to the point where I was set on, I'm not reading Dune Messiah until the third Dune movie comes out, because I genuinely thought that it had the opportunity to be one of the greatest movie trilogies that has been released. The first two movies were incredible, and if they could even come close to the first movie for a movie number 3, I would put it in the top 3 of all time trilogies, or top 5 maybe. So I was like, I'm not going to spoil that. Like, this is a once in a lifetime kind of trilogy here. So I'm not going to spoil the plot points. I'm going to wait. I'm going to watch the movie and then I'll read the book, but it's been too good to jump ahead of it. I'm going to let Denis do his thing. But when you drop a news piece like this and say it's not going to be a trilogy, it'll be a continuation, but it's its own movie and all that, it's like, well, shit, man, I might read the book now. Like, if you're, I don't know, that just kills my excitement for it. And I get the book jumps ahead 12 years too, but yeah, like you guys said, like, you don't have to. You changed everything. Just, I want to see the events popping off of that last scene there, bro. Don't skip ahead 12 years. What are you doing to us? So, yeah, man, that was a bummer. That's a big bummer. I don't know what to think about that.
It's almost
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You could make like the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie that war, and then it ends.
Yeah,
and, it
and
cuts
skip
to
ahead.
Black,
Then
and
skip
it goes
ahead.
12 years later.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I still don't
Like-
prefer it, but it's better.
Right.
Like you almost have an opportunity for a nice creative platform to do something different.
Right.
But I think the story is more captivating 12 years in the future because it's Paul at his height of his powers. He's been ruling the galaxy for 12 years now. Spoiler alert. He survives, you know,
Yeah.
he marries the emperor's daughter, and you know, they have kids, and that whole thing goes down. So it is kind of
having sex
interesting to
with
see it
worms.
where he's if it's the moment after, you know, it is more of a trilogy, but I feel like it'll be a better movie this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, glass half full, dude. He killed it in the first 2 movies. If he's doing this, there's got to be a reason, and I'm sure it'll still be a good movie. Dave, I'm on the opposite side of you. I want to read Messiah more than I want to read Dune 1 and 2. Or it's just Dune, right? It's just the Dune. Yeah.
Just Dune. Yeah.
'Cause I'm having trouble reading it because I know the story. Like same thing happened with Lord of the Rings. But with Messiah, I really want to read it because you might get some spoilers. For me, the experience almost overrides the spoilers when I'm comfortable with the world and like where the story's going, and then seeing it expressed on the big screen while I kind of know where it's going, even though you're still going to have some surprises, so because they're going to do some things a little differently. So like I'm to the point where I want to read Messiah and not read Dune because it's a long wordy book. You know, it's like damn, dude, I know the story though. Do I want to sit down for so long?
It's so good though.
Yeah,
I
will.
Yeah, I've hit a break with it. I do get what you're saying. I think the main thing was my experience watching the second one was so incredible. Whereas like God, I want to try and repeat that. And part of that was because I didn't know where we were going with the story there. But I totally get what you're saying, and it is easier to watch a movie when you've already seen rather than read a book when you know the plot points behind it because you have the visuals still to enjoy. So I
Right.
get that for sure. Yeah.
So, but Dune, is it a really good read? How does it compare to like Game of Thrones? Like the good Game of Thrones, book 1 through 3.
It's not on that level, but it's close.
On that
It's
level.
not as expansive, you know. It's a lot more focused in on.
That's
on
good.
a
That's
couple
actually
of
a
plot
good-
points, right? Game of
Sure.
Thrones is a lot, but I'm reading it slowly. I just when I have time, I usually just throw something on at night. If I start reading at night, I just fall asleep instantly. So it's a slow movie, but every time I do pick it up, I really enjoy what I'm reading.
Yeah.
And the end of the book is like the last like probably 50, 60 pages are fire.
Wild. Okay,
Yeah.
I got about 300 left, maybe 250.
Damn, dude, I gotta buckle down so we could all review it. I'd feel really sad if I couldn't review it with you guys because it took me 5 years to read it.
You're out of the gang.
Yeah, dude.
It's taken me 5 years, but.
All right, leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think on these details of Dune 3. That wraps up the topic. And next, we got The Last of Us. They dropped a trailer for season 2. And, I thought it was great. I didn't think there was huge reveals. I saw stuff online saying it was like a tearjerker. Like it was really emotional. I didn't really feel that necessarily. I want you guys to tell me why it is emotional.
Well,
Dave or Love, thoughts on the trailer? Everything. Why is it emotional
Nah,
too?
man, that just watching that trailer kind of almost made me tear up. Like, and just with the guitar scene with like them going back and forth and like, oh man, like if
He
you
sees
know,
a
you
daughter.
know. I'm just all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know.
And I don't, but I do kind of. I've heard bits and pieces over the last couple years, so I know some messed up stuff happens coming up here, and I know of some certain deaths. I don't know when it takes place, but I know they're going to happen probably this season.
I think we all know if you spoilers ahead, but if we want to talk about it, we don't have to.
I don't know for sure. I think I remember it getting spoiled when we watched season 1. I mean, yeah, spoilers. I guess. Do we want to throw it out there? I don't. Somebody dies, and it's a he.
But it doesn't excite me, dude. I don't want to see a certain character not be in the show.
I don't either. But I will say the trailer really felt epic to me. But maybe epic's not the right word.
Well, I will say that one shot of all
Intense.
the zombies or whatever you want to call
Oh my
them,
God.
thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe running towards camp. I mean, that felt epic.
maybe epic is the right word in a sense. It feels like it's going to be an intense, heavy season of television, but I'm really looking forward to it.
For sure. Me too. Last of Us, after a rewatch, I think it's a possibly top 3, definitely top 5 seasons ever. Like it's so good.
Straight up.
Last thing we got for Week in Geek is Ghost of Tsushima, one of my all-time favorite games,
Hey.
brought to my attention by Caleb. Just the world you play in is so vast and beautiful. The combat, I think it's the single greatest gameplay combat like in existence. It's so good. The swords, the action, it's just the best. But it's getting a sequel. So, Lub, any details on the sequel?
It's called Ghost of Yoti. And it follows a new character named Atsu. There's a female. She looks badass, though. And it is set in a new area of Japan, Hokkaido, in present day. There's new weapons and mechanics, and it takes place over 300 years after the first game. It is releasing in 2025. So it's a whole new story, not like a direct sequel, which kind of would have been cool. But, his story is done. He got the Mongols off the island, saved what he could. So a new story. There's always something crazy going on in feudal Japan. And 300 years is a cool time jump to where it is a little bit more modern, but you can still see it has like those beautiful landscapes and the wide shots of the cherry blossoms in the fields. Beautiful Japan.
There's a trailer for it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I've played the first one. It's cool.
Shut up. It's so good, dude. I was so
it looks
happy.
sick. I
Oh,
want
man.
to play it.
For some
Play at my
reason,
house at all?
No, I've never played it at your place. Yeah.
Oh.
But it looks sick and all the stuff you guys send.
dude, it was just an episode I wasn't on, but it was just you guys, and I listened to it, and whatever Caleb said had me sold so hard. I ordered it like that day, like while I was mowing the lawn, listening to this episode,
That's hilarious.
and it was so good.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in. That's all the news for this week, and we apologize for not doing Week in Geeks lately. There's a lot of content to cover, and we have a little bit of a busy schedule, all three of us. Usually we like to have it every week, but thank you for tuning in. Yes, Why So Sidious Pod, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. Check us out, follow us, leave a like, subscribe, comment, everything. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.